finally fixed the issue I had, the bug I had, where the page wasn't loading dynamically. It was an issue with Windows, I think, Windows and Webpack. So I'm now using a virtual machine with Ubuntu or Ubuntu, I don't know, one of those Unix style OSs. And that seems to have fixed the issue. So, yeah. Okay, so I feel like this video is going to be very loud again with the wind, so you'll have to forgive me. I don't have one of those fancy noise cancelling mics, I'm afraid. So yeah, just doing that thing where I talk to myself in public whilst people probably stare at me wondering what's going on, and I pretend that I'm on a phone call. So yeah, I've been thinking about the concept of virality lately, because if I'm trying to achieve product market fit in 6 months, I'm looking for all sorts of ways to develop a quality product that at the same time encourages virality, that encourages that spread, to other users, to get more people on the platform, on the product, and actually see the benefit and stay on the product, not have drop-offs all the time. It's so windy, my God. Because obviously high retention is what I'm looking for as well. Like, there's no point people land on the product and then they don't like it and then they never use it again. That's not product market fit. So yeah, I think I'm thinking about that as well. So I think from a virality perspective, the key thing is obviously, the main thing is first of all starting with that quality product and have that experience in terms of how it starts out, but also like how that actually progresses as they use the product. So I spoke about the year in the life document in an earlier video. So it's a bit like, how do I apply that concept of the onboarding journey, but do it in a way where it's quite clear there are specific touch points where I know how they're feeling at each particular point in time, and I think I know how they might feel at each particular point in time, and how to make that experience enjoyable throughout, and to sort of have these hook points that are like, right, this is where they get that wow or aha moment, and here's another aha moment, and here's another moment that makes sense. Ultimately, these are all value providing points on their experience, because as soon as that value drops off, why would they bother sharing this with their friends, So there's that quality element, which I think is really important. So that quality of experience, value providing experience. And then secondly, I think it's also around features, like features that encourage sharing. So this is obvious. Like, I think Gmail took off because they had something in people's signatures where they can get signed up as well. Something to that effect as well, where we can say, is there a way to get people to actually add their friends to the product as well? In a way that actually makes sense. It doesn't seem too pushy either. So that's something worth thinking about as well. In a way that actually, it's not like, you get some products where they're like, oh, share this with your friends and you can win £5 each or something like that. And for me, that feels like selling out a little bit. Like maybe I'm being too stubborn here and too idealistic. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too naive about this, but I do feel like there's an element of, I'd rather people share it because they want to share it, not share it because they could win money from it. It doesn't feel like, it feels like a shortcut. It feels like cheating, and it doesn't feel like a very sustainable way of share virality, So I'm just thinking about like what kind of feature or what part of the product will make things so obvious that is the point in time when it makes the most sense to share it with someone else, So a classic example is WhatsApp. Like, obviously you're going to get your friends on WhatsApp because you want them to use it with you. So that's a great example. So finding ways to do that where some part of the product only really unlocks its full value when you have your friends with you as well. Obviously not to a point where I don't know if I want to make that a gate where you have to have your friends on the product for it to be useful, because yeah, I don't want to add that resistance for now. But that's something to think about as well. So number 2 is basically having features that encourage that kind of virality as well. Also, I think there's a third element to virality here, which I'm not sure if people speak about this much, but it's something that's occurred to me as well. In fact, maybe it did come from like a video that I saw once. Who knows? If I remember, I'll try to let you guys know. But the third point, I think, comes down to the type of users that you're actually targeting, the user segment that you're targeting. Because I feel like there are certain user segments where you might be targeting that they feel the pain point the most, the most willing to pay for a product like that, which all makes sense. But they also need to be folks who would actually most willingly share the product as well. Because there'll be certain user segments which actually, they might love your product, but they feel massive resistance to sharing your product with their friends and family, etc. For whatever reason. Maybe they feel embarrassed, maybe they don't feel very sociable, maybe they don't have many friends or family to share it with, and that is the reality that I'm trying to grapple with in the sense of the product that I'm trying to put out there. Like, it's ultimately all around fighting loneliness, and therefore, just out of its nature, it will have target user segments where they don't have much of a social support system. So that's something that I'm trying to grapple with as well. It's a bit of a catch-22, because on the one hand, I really want to help these people. On the other hand, are the folks that I'm targeting really going to be sharing this with other folks? Can they? So that's why some part of me is wondering, just to get this off the ground, I may need to target a user segment which still feels the pain point, loneliness, let's say, but at least has a sufficient social support system where they can still share this with other folks, and they can do it in a way where they don't feel embarrassed by doing it as well. So yeah, it's quite complex, and I think it really does require us to get really into the minds of our target users, and of course later on we can expand to other user segments once traction has been gained. So yeah, those are my thoughts.